Hi, Beatrice.
Hi.
It's been a long day, guys.
It's been a long day.
It's been like us proactively trying to record the whole day and just
Nothing working.
a lot of learning curves with this podcast.
Honestly, so much. And I love that, we're learning through the process. I'm not sure if I love it.
Yeah.
I love recording. I think this is my favorite part, but all the behind the scene is so much more work than you can imagine.
Than the actual conversation.
It is.
And we keep telling people that. Like, everybody says, how's the podcast going? How's it going? We're like, the talking part is easy.
Yes.
It's the technical setting up and the microphones and everything, but it's a new adventure.
Yes, and we're gonna get better at this. So
Yeah.
I feel like this is episode 2, so of course we're still beginners.
Absolutely.
We're gonna learn, get
Yeah.
better.
And, well, speaking of beginners,
Yes.
this whole episode for us, we wanted to do like a solo backpackers for beginners.
Yeah, like just a guide, just share our favorite tips, our best tip to start solo traveling. Because we've been there. We know how it is.
We have been there. We have made mistakes.
Oh, yes. We made so many mistakes.
But we learned from all of those.
Yes, and we got you.
We got you.
We got you. We're going to tell you how to avoid all the mistakes we made.
Yes.
It's going to be a funny episode, I think.
I think so. And it's like, when you film late at night, it's gonna hit different. It's gonna be.
We might be a little bit delulu and crazy, but don't worry, we're fine.
Yes, we still are gonna do our best to just help guide you a little bit.
Exactly. So, how did you start solo traveling? Well, what was your journey? How did you feel? The emotions you felt the first time you went on the cruise?
I felt definitely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, it's a lot to figure out what to pack. It's a lot to figure out just what we were saying, suitcase versus backpack, and what to bring. Warm clothes, hot clothes. Like, you need a variety, but you're also carrying everything that you have in a suitcase or a backpack.
Yeah.
I definitely felt overwhelmed, but at the same time, like, whatever happens, you're going to figure it out.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be so stressed that it holds you back from actually doing it. Because honestly, if you forget something, you can buy it in any country.
Yes.
You're always going to figure it out. And it's really not as intimidating as it feels, I think.
It isn't. But I remember that the first time I started solo traveling, I bring so much clothes. I had 3 kinds of shampoo. I had everything with me, and I had the biggest backpack ever. And then I arrived in Egypt and I bought stuff, and I had no room in my backpack. It was just I looked like a big turtle walking. But yeah, I learned from that. I don't think I'm that good at overpacking still, but I learned. But yeah, I just think that it's so nerve-wracking to start solo traveling that your anxiety, how you manage your anxiety, and I think you can really relate to that, is that you will overpack, overplan everything to try to calm down yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you do it the first time, and then you realize, well, I don't really need to do this.
Yeah, and so we kind of wanted to break down these categories that feel like, the beginner guide. So the first one we wanted to talk about was suitcase versus backpack.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of opposite.
We're kind of opposite. Yeah, I agree. I am team backpack.
And I am normally a suitcase girl.
Yes.
But I do have a bullet point to that. I just went to South America, and it definitely depends on the way that you're traveling. But when you are doing hostel and when you're doing more budget traveling and you're doing more adventure traveling, I made a big mistake bringing a suitcase. I totally fucked up. And I had a feeling, to my credit, it was a small suitcase, so I could carry it. I never had an issue with that.
Yeah.
But South America is just, when you're doing that kind of traveling, hostel, adventure, you're young in your 20s, backpack 100%.
100%.
Because the roads, even if you're in a nice town, the buses, the roads, just, you really are gonna hate having a suitcase.
Yeah, and especially that, like we said in episode 1, you're gonna meet people, you're gonna make friends, and then your friends will probably all have backpacks, and it's such a different way of like traveling with a suitcase or a backpack, and it's so much easier. I'm just thinking, when I was in Japan, I had my friend, she had a suitcase, and I had a backpack, and we had like these big stairs all the time, and she was always stuck with her suitcase in the stairs, and it was just us running to not miss our bus or metro or whatever, and she was just really regretting her suitcase.
Yeah, and it gives you so much anxiety when you don't. I think honestly for me that's the biggest thing, is like you get anxiety from it because you're constantly thinking like, oh, is there going to be a staircase? If I'm taking the subway, am I going to have to? I remember being in Paris and taking the subway, and literally I had a huge suitcase. Once again, stupid move on my part, but these are the things you learn. And I had to carry it up like so many flights of stairs.
Yeah.
And it just, I ended up shipping most of my stuff home and had like a small bag after that because I was like, I literally can't do this. It's so stupid.
But to be fair, because I love backpack, I'm team backpack, but backpacks also have cons. And
Yes.
honestly, my back sometimes, because I travel, I had difficulties to not overpack. So I travel with like my big backpack, but I also have like my big backpack with cameras and stuff in front of me. And then if with Bali, I have a tote bag. So it's a lot of backpack to carry around you. So yes, I have my 2 free hands, which is so nice. Yes, I have no problems in the stairs, but it's so heavy. I'm small. I'm kind of strong, but not that much. So it is so much like, it's so heavy, and like I'm sweating. I remember in Colombia, I had this hostel, amazing hostel, but it was uphill, and you had to like walk uphill for 20 minutes. And I had all of these backpacks with me. I arrived completely sweating. I had this little cute, like light blue top, all wet, disgusting. Like the whole face sweating because I had 2 backpacks, and it was just too much to carry on all up the hill. So there's pros and cons to both of them.
There's such pros and cons to
Yeah.
both of them. And I think that's a big reason for me why sometimes I'm more team suitcases,
Yeah.
because carrying the backpack, especially if you're doing carry on only through an airport and like lugging that around, and you might have a long walk or
Yeah.
you just might have it's a lot. It's heavy. It's uncomfortable. And so for me, I have both and I kind of go between the two.
Yeah.
But I think just my biggest tip would be like really understand what type of traveling you're doing. If you're doing hostels, it's hard to have a big suitcase in the room.
It is
It's so much easier to have a backpack.
100%.
But like if you're doing a little bit more luxury and you have a hotel and you're going to be Ubering from place to place, like if you want to do it a little bit fancier, I think there's a lot of ways a suitcase makes more sense then.
Yes. And a suitcase, well, in my experience, it's so much easier to organize your stuff in a suitcase than a backpack. Well, backpack, I use packing cubes all the time. I mean, I would use them in a suitcase too, but a suitcase, you can like, I don't have the right backpack. I know that there's better backpacks that like open up totally like a suitcase. I need one of those. But right now, it's just like I dig in a hole. And it's just so hard to get organized, and it gets so messy. I have like so many videos of me. It's just like I'm using my feet to push my packing cubes in the in my bag, because it just gets like it accumulates and it's so non-organized.
Yeah, and for me, when you said packing cubes literally changed my life.
Yeah.
Because they are like little drawers
Oh yeah, you need these.
that you can just take out 5 packing cubes as opposed to 50 different items of clothing.
Yeah.
And they're all so organized.
Exactly. You have like a packing cube for like your tops, your dresses, your pants. It's so much easier.
It's so much easier. You stay so much more organized. And for
Yeah.
example, like in my room here in Bali, I don't have a dresser. I have 4 hangers. So
Yeah.
I just keep all my clothes in my packing cubes, and they're just like, so much more organized here.
Yeah, so much easier.
So I
do the same.
really can't recommend like they are such a game changer to me.
Absolutely. And we can link in the bio of the episode our favorite packing cubes. Because no matter if you're a suitcase or backpack, you will need packing cubes.
You will need
100%.
packing cubes.
Okay, next. Over planning or no planning? What team are you?
Ooh, I have done both of these.
Yes, same.
I will say my first experience really over planning. I went to Australia for a month by myself when I was 25, and I planned everything because Australia was like a dream destination for me for years. And so I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I was doing and I was really maximizing my trip. And I was staying in hostels and I ended up meeting like girls the very first night. And they were like, hey, do you want to do this with us tomorrow? I was like, I already bought a tour. And they're like, oh, really? How much did you pay? And I paid a lot of money for it. They're like, oh, we're just taking the public transport to that. And it was literally maybe a fifth the price.
Oh, I believe you.
And so I had planned every single day out pretty much because I just thought that's what you did.
Yeah.
And then I had no flexibility.
Yeah.
And even though for me it was like kind of nice because I didn't have to think about my trip, it really limited me to when I met other travelers to then where I didn't have some flexibility to do stuff with them.
I can totally relate to that. And when I started traveling, I was also over planning. And I love planning trips. It's so fun. So fun. But at the same time, it doesn't give you flexibility. And I think when I travel with friends or when I was traveling with my ex, I had no problem like planning everything because you're just in your little bubble. So you're less like, yes, you're going to meet people, but you kind of want to stay together. So I think you can plan a little bit more. But when you're solo traveler, you will meet so many people and it's so fun to travel with these new friends. So you will want to travel with these new friends. So if you overplan everything, you're probably just going to lose opportunities. And I remember when I was in Vietnam, I met this group of friends at the beginning, and my plan was to do just 3 places in Vietnam. When I landed, I was like, I'm doing these 3 places. 3 places. But, and then I met these people, and they made me discover the Ha Giang Loop, which is best experience ever, like of my life, literally. I would have never done this without them because I didn't even know about it. And then because I met them, I changed my whole itinerary. But it was the best thing ever because I ended up having the best experience of my life. So I think you're missing out if you're over planning. But I get, though, that it's so stressful.
I think it's such a balance of having, I would say, do research of what you're really interested in, where you're interested in going, and then be flexible because honestly, for me, I find that I'm never really limited on finding a hostel or finding a hotel. Like I can pretty much book it the night before and I've been totally fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's stressful when you don't have an idea of what cities and towns you want to go to.
Yeah.
And then honestly, most people are probably doing a similar path where then you want to go to that place, but you have some flexibility on the exact date that you're going.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely like don't overplan, but don't not plan anything.
Yeah. I think, how I do it usually is that I have like a list of like places. I have an idea of what kind of thing I want to do, but I'm really like borderline no planning because I remember my last trip in Colombia, I was booking like the night in the morning.
That's so Beatrice. That's so you. I love it.
I remember my bus going from Santa Marta to Colombia, to Cartagena. It was like such a long ride. And like literally 1 hour before arriving to Cartagena, I booked my hostel. And that's this fun thing about hostel is that there's almost always a bed. Mm-hmm. And it never happened to me that there was no bed or okay, I might have to change hostel, but you're going to find a bed. That's not a problem.
I totally agree.
But then you have flexibility and it's so much more fun.
I think it also depends on the length of your trip.
Yeah, it does.
If you're slow traveling or if you're doing a long backpacking trip, you have so much more time to be like, oh, I don't know, I couldn't do this experience
Yeah.
this day, so I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day. If you're doing a 2 week trip, like if that's all the time you can get off of work, then maybe a little bit more planning would work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But still, I have because I used to be a travel agent. And I had one friend, he asked me to plan his whole trip. He was doing Guatemala and what was the other one? I think it was Nicaragua. No, Belize and Guatemala. And when I was a travel agent, he was like, "Can you plan the whole thing for me for 2 weeks only?" And I was like, "Well, you might meet people and want to change your trip." And it was his first solo trip. So, anyways, I tried telling him like stay flexible. He didn't want to listen. So I planned the whole trip. And after 2 days, he was like, "Well, can you change it? Can you cancel everything? Because I met people and I changed it. I'm
Yeah.
changing my whole itinerary." So yeah, at least if you want to like stay secure and feel better and book the 2 weeks accommodation, make sure you can like cancel it. At
Yes,
least.
make sure it's refundable.
Yeah.
That is such good advice for like if you're torn between,
Yeah.
I don't really know, I'm more type A, I don't want to like be so easygoing, then do refundable and cancelable. That
Yeah.
is such good advice, Beatrice.
Awesome. Do we next one?
Yeah.
Let's go. Overpacking or minimalism. I cannot say this word.
Minimalism.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I would say I'm more of a minimalist packer. I am not one of those people that have the bug spray and the body sunscreen and the first aid kit and like every single thing. Like I am not that person. I'm more of like if I need it, I can buy it there.
Yeah.
I think it's more products that you feel like are really more so. For example, we both use menstrual cups.
Yeah.
Like you use Diva cup, I don't remember what I use. That is something where it's like you're not going to find that in
No.
Vietnam. You're not going to find that in Cambodia. Bring something like that with you.
Yeah.
But like a lot of other things for me personally, I just buy them there if I need them.
Same. The only thing that I started to like really travel with is my shampoo. And it might sound really girly, but honestly, the humidity with my hair, it's horrible.
Look at this. It's like I
It's
just
just-
straightened it.
I mean, well, it's not that bad. Mine are like, I look like a lion, literally. And it's just like, when I came back for Christmas, I went to a hairdresser and I was like, I need products for this. And I know I can probably find them in Bali, but I was like, I want a hairdresser from my hometown telling me, like my hairdresser telling me she knows my hair to tell me like what I need to bring, and I'm going to bring it. But I'm like you on this, that I don't bring like all the mosquito and stuff and like all the products in case something happens. But I'm so bad of overpacking too many clothes.
Oh, me too.
So bad.
But I have something to say about this. But before I do, I wanted to say with the specialty products like your shampoo,
Yeah.
I feel that way. I think about like more my skincare.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to not underpack so much where you feel like uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Bring certain items where it's so not necessary, but it is like a luxury, because at the end of the day, if you're doing a 6-month backpacking trip, you want to have some of those like comforts from home.
Yes, you do. And I think that was one of my biggest mistake when I started solo traveling full time, is that I was trying to not have too many products. And of course, I bring like a really small shampoo bottle. And when you travel, you kind of wash your hair more often because of the sun and the sea and whatever. So it ran out of like shampoo. I ran out of shampoo so quickly, and then I bought like so shitty like shampoo all over the place. I couldn't even read what I was buying.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't feel. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's fun to feel like you take care of yourself. You take care of your hair, your skin, and some people don't care. Some people care, but if you care, I think it's such a good advice to like just bring it.
Yeah. And make space for that for
Yeah.
yourself.
Like remove some pair of shirts because you're gonna dress the same. You're gonna be dressed the same way all the time.
You are literally going to wear the same thing every other day.
Yeah, you will.
And a huge thing that changed my mind on like how to pack better is capsule wardrobe. And I told you about this.
Yeah, but well, you just told me the name, but
I
didn't understand what it was.
Like I told you nothing other than the name.
You were like, let's keep it for the podcast.
Okay. Well, this is like a super popular thing on TikTok and Instagram, and like all of these style creators have been teaching people about how you find pieces where everything can go together. We're like, say for example, you have 5 tops, 5 bottoms. Everything can match.
I love that.
So then you have so many outfits to choose from. And so that's what the capsule wardrobe is. It's like everything goes together. They're like, you pick kind of a color scheme so you know it's not like a tie-dye shirt and then an army pants. They're not going to go together. And I think another way with like the capsule wardrobe is make sure the clothes you're bringing you can wear for going out. You can wear for the daytime.
That's such a good advice.
You're comfortable. You're not going to wear a cocktail dress ever.
And you're not going to wear jeans. I don't know if you're team jeans, but it takes so much space for nothing. You're not going to wear them because it's hot outside and it's not comfortable. And you're sweating and you're not going to wear them and it takes so much space. So don't bring them.
Yeah, and they're just heavy and they're bulky.
Yes, they're just so inconvenient.
They are really versatile, but so is a linen pant.
Yeah. Absolutely. Or like the pants
like
that I'm wearing right now. Like you can not really see it on the camera, but it's like so I bought them in Vietnam. It's like black, long, so light, super easy, and I can put whatever I want with these.
And even like the top that you're wearing, you can wear that during the day, casual. You can also wear it going out at night.
Out like this, yeah.
And I think that tip like helps me so much. Like if I can only wear this going out, I'm not bringing it. If I can only wear this, obviously casual clothes are a little bit more, you need more of them.
Yeah.
But just, like
that's
make sure you have multiple reasons to wear a piece of clothing.
I love that. Good.
We love talking about clothes.
Oh yeah, we love it.
And you're probably going to buy some clothes while you're traveling. So leave some space.
Oh my God. That's such a good point.
Leave space because you're like, I'm not going to buy anything. You're going to see something cute and you're going to buy it.
Oh, you will. 100% you will. So leave space. And another advice before we move on to the next point. What I do usually is I put all of my stuff on my bed and then I remove 30% of what I put on my bed.
Absolutely.
Like I do that all the time and I never regret like not bringing one of my shirts or like I don't care.
Same.
But so do it.
And what about shoes for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I just have 2. So I have no, actually this time I have 3. I'm lying.
Me too.
I learned cuz I have running shoes cuz I love going to the gym and run. I have sandals. But I have 2 pairs of sandals because they're sandals to go in the shower. And that's so important. If you go in hostels, please have flip-flops that goes in the shower because sometimes it's so disgusting. And I regret not having them.
And you can use shoes like that for the beach too.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess I could have just like the flip-flops that goes, like your Tevas that you have. And runner shoes. That's what I had at the beginning, but then my Tevas broke, so now I have 3.
And one of those shoes you should be able to like dress up and wear out at night.
Yeah, and go out. Yeah. What do you have?
I have the white Tevas that we both have.
Yeah.
Teva, whatever.
I don't know, but we love them.
We love our Tevas. We love them. They're honestly the most comfortable sandals I've ever had in my entire life.
I miss them so much. I can't wait to buy some.
Yeah, and you can hike in them. You can go on a waterfall in them.
Whatever you
like if the beach is really rocky, it's just my favorite sandal. And then I have my black Crocs, which is like honestly my going out shoe, but also my pool shoe.
Oh yeah, but they're so nice. They look so comfortable.
They're just like neutral and easy to wear. Yeah. And then I have Hokas, so just like hiking tennis shoes or like if I ever go to the gym, which we're opposite in that way. Yeah. But at least I know myself.
I mean, you never know. Or hike. it's useful if you're
I am
doing
a big
hike.
hiker. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love hiking.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Opinion. What's your opinion on budget travel?
Budget traveling. You know what? I really feel like I've explored all different types of
Yeah.
traveling. I think budget traveling is fun because it feels really adventurous.
Yeah, it does.
Like you are just living life. You have such low standards, but it's like a low standard in the way that it's for the plot, right?
It is. Do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot. And you just have so much fun. I don't know. Like I was just in Guatemala maybe 2 months ago. We were sleeping. There was no air conditioning, no screens on the window. We were all dying of heat, sleeping in our like dorm room of 10 girls. My two friends, because I actually did this trip with them, they said they woke up crying in the middle of the night.
What?
They were both naked in the dorm room, and there was one fan for all of us.
Oh,
They were like,
my.
it was so miserable, but then it's such a funny experience.
Yes.
So for me, it's like, I'm not a super, super, super budget traveler, but I have budget traveled, and I honestly can say it's been a really fun time.
And it's always the funniest stories.
It's so
ever.
funny.
Oh my god. I have like
What about you? I mean, you're definitely more geared.
I'm more budget
Budget
traveler
travel.
than you. I mean, I'm a big fan of hostels. So anyways, even if I had so much money, I would still go to hostels because when you're solo traveling, I love me like I'm such like a people person and I love being surrounded by people. So I'm much more happy in a hostel surrounded by people than like in my private room all by myself.
Totally.
I'm like miserable. So I feel like I'm made to be a budget traveler. I don't know. But also sometimes it's like, you arrive at your hostel. I remember like in Colombia, I arrived at this island. It was after the Amazon. And the Amazon, I never felt disgusting like this in my entire life. We can talk about maybe
Yeah,
in
we
another,
need to.
in another episode, but I've never been so disgusting. And I was dreaming for 5 days to take a shower and feel good. And then so I took the flight from the Amazon to an island in Colombia. I arrived at my hostel. It was a cheap hostel because I was on a budget. I arrived at the hostel and my bed is so disgusting. There's like a big orange thing all over my bed. It's so disgusting. The smell of the room is disgusting. Everything, like the shower is disgusting. So I was like looking forward to take a shower and feel good. But for 3 other nights, I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling disgusting still. The people there were amazing though. So that's why I stayed. But that's stuff that can happen when you're traveling on a budget. You have to sacrifice and you lower your standards so much.
I think that's why I'm such a big review reader.
Oh,
I read so many reviews before I book a place.
It's so important.
Because for me, if it's not clean and if it's creepy and gross, I'm not going to rest well.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's a fine line between being conscious of your budget and budget traveling, but also like not sacrificing so much of your comfort that you're exhausted and you're not sleeping and you're just like grossed out.
Exactly.
Because you can pay a tiny bit more to have like a clean, but sometimes also the reviews can be wrong or it can be a different experience.
Yeah, you never know. But
you never know.
The reviews kind of help. Like,
yeah.
And look at recent reviews because so many like hostels have really good reviews, and then you look at the recent one and it's like there's like bed bugs or like there's been this and that. So look at recent reviews.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Anything else about budget travel? I feel like, I mean, another thing I would add as a solo female traveler is that, because I know that for me, I'm always struggling. Am I taking the cheapest option or am I taking the safe option? That's another like struggle usually I have. And I am not the perfect example because sometimes I'm really delulu and I take like the cheap option and then I end up in sketchy situations. And I think we were talking about that before the episode, but I think sometimes I regretted not paying like $10 more to feel safer. and like just pay the Uber, just take the taxi instead of the sketchy bus, like night bus that you don't know like where it's bringing you. Like sometimes the little more money you pay is so worth it.
I could not agree more. And I think another thing we were saying about budget traveling is you have already flown to that location. You've already taken time off work or you've already saved up all this money. Make sure you spend some money doing the things you really want to do.
Oh, that's such a good
Like,
advice.
it's okay to spend some money on an activity where it's a little bit more than a budget traveling, but you're getting like an incredible life-changing experience.
Yes. So we have this new. Okay, wait. So moving on, we have this new thing now, and we want to hear your best travel stories, and we want to share them on the podcast because we're building a community. It's not just us two in a room in Bali talking. We want to have this sense of community. So every week we're going to share stories from you, coming from you, depending on the subject, the topic we're going to talk about. And so far, the stories we had are from my Instagram that I asked people to share their stories. So I just wanted to, so I selected 3 stories that I thought were really, really funny. Okay, are you ready? I think you can relate to some of them.
Okay, let's hear.
The first one is my favorite. So, this guy called Kevin said, finding a taxi between Denpasar and Lovina Beach. This is in Bali. Starting at 5 p.m. for 2 hours and a half. After 1 hour in the dark, starting to figure it out, the driver was almost blind. Almost died a few times, so decided to drive myself with the taxi driver sleeping next to me. First time in my life that I have to pay a taxi by driving it by myself.
Oh, what?
I promise.
That is wild.
It is wild. I could never, never. I don't know what I would have done. Like, the driver is blind. What are you doing?
Also, what if you drive on the other side of the road? It's just like a lot going on in that situation.
A lot going on. And what if the car is manual?
Right. I can't drive manual.
Me neither.
I would just, I just park the car and, hang out with the driver all night.
Sleep
Like,
there.
what else are we going to do?
That is wild. So I think that's a good example. Like, just send us your wildest stories. It's just funny. Okay, next one. This guy. This guy was in Hong Kong, I think. HK. I think
Yeah.
that means Hong Kong. And for the whole weekend, all the hostels were full, which is not happening often.
That's very rare.
Yeah, maybe there was an event because usually it's like, I know that when I was in Thailand, like in Chiang Mai, there was like the Lantern Festival and everything was full. So sometimes when there's special events, they're full. Anyways, all the hostels were full. And I'm on a tight budget for a 70-day trip in Southeast Asia. So it forces myself to sleep over at the McDonald's. Thanks, they allow me.
A McDonald's.
A McDonald's.
How nice are those people?
It would never happen in Canada or in the US.
No chance.
Never. This is wild.
But that's so relatable, like sleeping in really weird places.
So relatable. I just remember in the Amazon, I think that was the wildest bed of my life. In the middle of the jungle, in the Amazon, in a hammock.
Hammock?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Surrounded by like a mosquito net. Because like the Amazon is full of dangerous mosquitoes and animals. And I was just there in my little hammock surrounded by mosquito net. Like surrounded by wild insects and animal.
God.
But I was so tired because I had partied the day before.
It's always a red flag when I see a mosquito net somewhere because I'm like, why do I need this? That's not a good sign.
That's so true.
Like, I'm going to have some mosquitoes in my room tonight.
That's so true. And I feel like in Asia, it happens often.
All the time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, last one. And then moving on. Last one is, you're going to love this. You're going to relate to this. This girl in Nicaragua, I had a tarantula that we couldn't get out of her room after trying so many things. I felt so bad killing it, but I literally chucked a very well placed orange at it and killed it.
Nope. I would pack my bag. I'd be like, Tarantula, you take the room for the night. I'm good. I'm flying home. That's like honestly how deep my fear goes of spiders.
Honestly, and a tarantula.
And a tarantula is like the mother of all spiders.
Yes,
like,
it is.
fuck that. Literally, no, I'm done.
There's no chance.
So.
Oh my God. But this is also so relatable because insects, when you travel, are everywhere.
And she probably panicked, like, how are we going to kill this? Here's an orange. Like, you have to be so creative of, like, how are we going to solve this problem?
Yes. Yes.
Just, like, honestly, go
Problem-solving
her.
skills are good. You should add that under your resume when you're a solo traveler. Okay, that's really funny. Okay, now, what is your biggest travel fail?
I had my biggest travel fail right before Bali. Like, I had a really crazy trip getting here. I was in South America and I was supposed to be doing a backpacking trip there for a couple months. And then Beatrice asked me if I wanted to start a podcast. So I changed my whole itinerary and I didn't have anything I needed for Bali. So I had to go back to LA. Yeah. So I was in Guatemala, Costa Rica, LA for 12 hours. And I had a red eye that night and I woke up and at LAX, I somehow dropped my passport. But I didn't know this until 4 hours later.
That's my biggest nightmare.
And I had a flight that night to Bali again. And so I only realized that my passport was missing which for me, I literally am so aware and organized about like where my things are. I don't lose anything. So to lose my passport
no.
on the same day I'm flying out again, what happened was I was looking for it, couldn't find it. I called every number I possibly could at LAX. Nobody was answering. Finally, I'm like crying at this point. Some guy answers the phone and I said, I lost my passport. And he goes, is this Emma? And I was like, yes!
You are so lucky.
So long story short, he basically told me 70% of people who lose their passports never get them back. Of course.
And you have an American passport. So this is so valuable.
It was literally the biggest nightmare on planet Earth. I will, knock on wood, never do that again.
That's literally my worst nightmare. When I travel, I can lose whatever. Well, maybe not my cell phone.
Yeah, maybe not whatever, but
whatever except all of my electronics and my passport. Passport, you can be stuck in a country. Like you were in LA, so kind of like you would have missed your flight. But can you imagine losing your passport in like Saudi America? Like,
God, it was so stupid. Never again.
No.
Well,
no.
What about you? What was your biggest travel fail?
Okay, this is not my most glamorous moment.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, this was in Iceland. So, my trip to Iceland. Honestly, if you want to make sure you have a true friendship with someone, just go on a trip and have the biggest problem ever, the whole trip, and you stay friendly and you don't yell at each other. That's a really, really good test. And
true.
That was it with my best friend, Julie. We had so many problems during this trip in Iceland. It's just like unbearable. Anyways, we almost missed our flight. Well, actually, we got refused to board the plane. So we arrived 48 hours later in Iceland. And that's a whole story, but this is such a long story. I can tell it in another episode. That's not the funny part. So we got refused to board the plane. Arrived 48 hours later, completely exhausted. Like we were so tired. We went to the rental car place, got our car, and started driving. And we had like 8 hours of drive when we arrived the first day. We were crazy. And
wow. That's impressive.
Because initially we had a 10-day trip. And then we had to squeeze it in 8 days because we lost 2 days because we got refused to board the plane. So, anyways, we had to like squeeze everything. 8 hour drive the first day. Started driving without thinking. After like maybe 2 hours of driving, we see this beautiful waterfall in the middle of nowhere. Like Iceland, the two cities, the closest cities are not close at all. It's like you're always in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, we go out of the car. We have this beautiful waterfall. We stay there for about an hour. We take cute photos. And at one point, I need to go to the toilet. But like, it's urgent. Like, you know me.
Well, and Beatrice is like 2 years old when she has to pee. All of a sudden, she's like moving and swaying, and you're like, girl, go pee. But there's no signal to the brain to like maybe go earlier. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's like a game at this point. Like, do you have to pee? Yes, go pee then. But like you wait until it's like signal red or whatever.
No,
I've never seen that in an adult, by the way. I love that about you.
I don't know. I feel like so much things are happening in my head.
Yeah.
My brain is like, it's a maze in there. So even this signal to tell me I need to go to the toilet
It gets very lost.
yes, it gets lost. And only when it's really urgent, it comes at the right spot.
And so you're telling me this was not just pee.
No. So it was more than pee. It was the whole package. Anyways, I'm like, I need to go now. And we look on the Google map and we're like, where is it? Like, do we have like a convenience store or something? Like another city? Nothing. Nothing closer than like 1 hour drive. And I cannot wait. There's no chance I'm waiting. So I'm like, fuck it. There's nobody. I'm just going to go uphill. So there was like a cute little hill. I go up there. I do everything. And then I'm like, oh, shoot. I don't have toilet paper. I don't have anything. So I'm like, well, there's nobody except my best friend. So I just go down the hill without my pants on.
What?
I go clean myself in the waterfall.
You just like dunked your butt in the water?
Yes.
Like that's good.
Literally like squatting in the
Clean.
water and like shaking my booty in the water.
Bidet.
And then I put back my pants and I look at my best friend and I'm like, the view up there is so beautiful. I'm like, you should go see it. So then we walked again up there, but she had to see my whole poop.
That's a true friend.
And that's a true friend. Honestly.
Those are the travel bonding moments that we love.
It is. Like, now our friendship just took another level.
Yeah, and this is her best friend.
That's my best friend, Julie. We're probably going to talk about her so much in
That
this
is
podcast.
such a good story.
It is a good story. Moving on.
Yes. So our solo female traveler of the week.
It's Melanie. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but her last name. We're gonna put the link to her Instagram.
Yes.
It's Melanie Gwintu. So she was living at the house here in Bali at the LCH when we were here in September. Mm-hmm. And we really, really love her because all of her content, well, especially when we met her, was about locals and like showing the reality of every destination and showing the reality of locals. And I think as a traveler, it's often something that we forget. It's so easy to stay between foreigners and forget about locals, but you have to remember that you're not in your home country. So I think it's the bare minimum to get interested about the cultures.
Absolutely, because I just think it makes your experience so much richer.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this yesterday, how one of our favorite things to do is to wander through little streets like that no tourist is on, just because it's so interesting and fun to see how locals actually live their lives and to really connect with them, because honestly, it's like you're a visitor in their country.
Absolutely.
And to always remember that. And I think I like that she uses her platform to highlight locals because it is their country at the end of the day.
It is. And it's so interesting to learn about their reality and like, you just see, I feel like when you travel, you see these people, like, they don't have that much and they're so happy. Mm-hmm. And it brings you back to perspective. And it, like, makes you think about, like, what's truly important in life. and the way she's showcasing this, it's really, really nice. I think that now she like kind of changed a little bit. She has more like modeling stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but still she still has content about it. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's a good example of how to solo travel.
definitely. Well, if you have any more questions, because we know this was our, introduction to solo traveling,
Yeah,
please don't hesitate to ask
please.
because it's a lot of information and we can't cover everything. There's always going to be more questions that you're going to have.
Yes, and never be shy or never apologize to just share your stories, share your highlights or your lows about solo travel, ask questions. Like, we are not just two people talking in a room. That's not what we want. We want to create this community. So you can write us on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on school. Just write to us and we'll be so happy to answer and just talk about it during the podcast, because our main goal or why is to help you. So the best way to help you is to know exactly what you want. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
See you
week.
next week.